Good morning, Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to quickly review the 4 rules of significant figures so that you can identify how many significant figures are there in a number. Significant figures are used to reflect the degree of accuracy. So let's figure out, let's start rule number 1. All non-zero digits are significant. All right. All non-zero digits. Let me give you an example. 192, all numbers are non-zero. There is no zero in these 3 digits. So these are all non-zero digits. So if you've been asked to write the number of significant figures, you will write there are 3 significant figures in this number. Same goes for a decimal number. If all the numbers are non-zero, there isn't any zero in this number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 significant figures in this particular case. Let me give you another example. 3. So we have 1 significant figure in this case. And if it is 4.5, we have 2 significant figures. So let's study. So rule number 1 is done. All right, let's study rule number 2. Rule number 2 states that all zeros between non-zero digits are significant. Let me give you an example. If I have a digit 32.047, the rule states all between non-zero digits are significant. These numbers are non-zero numbers, right? So this particular number 0 is in between the non-zero numbers, so it will be added to the significant number. So if you have to add how many significant figures are there, since 0 is in between non-zero numbers, so we will consider it as a significant figure. So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 significant figures in this particular case. Let's do one more example, a few more examples. 506. This 0 is in between non-zero numbers, so this will be counted as a significant figure. So how many significant figures are there? 1, 2, and 3. Let's do another example. Let's take 1.099. Since this 0 is between non-zero numbers, so we will count this 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 significant figures in this particular case. All right, let's study rule number 3. This is for decimals. It states that all zeros after a non-zero digit are significant and all zeros before a non-zero digit are not significant. For clarity, let me give you an example. Let's suppose we have 0.10 and we have to figure out how many significant figures are there. According to the rule, 0 after a non-zero digit, they are considered to be significant figures. All right, in this question, after 1 we have 1 0, so this 0 will be considered as a significant figure, but a 0 before a non-zero digit are not considered as a significant figure, so this 0 will not be considered as significant figure. So in order to figure out how many significant figures are there, we'll count this number 1 and this 0, which comes after a non-digit number. So there will be 2 significant figures. Let's take another example. 1.099. Okay, all zeros after a non-zero digit are significant. So this 0 is after a non-digit number. So this will be considered as a significant number. So in order to count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 4 significant figures in this particular question. Let's take another example. if we have a question like this, all these zeros will not be considered as significant figures because they are not after a non-zero digit. All right, so I will write it as 2. Now let's study rule number 4. It's a bit tricky. Rule number 4 states that in whole numbers, the zeros at the end may or may not be significant. It depends on how the numbers are approximated. Let me give you a few examples. According to all the rules that we have studied, if you have 7,200 as a question, how many significant figures are there? The zeros after a non-zero number will not be considered. So you can simply write it as the significant figures are 2. But if the question has been changed and they have added an information that you have to approximate it to the nearest 10. This means that this number will also be included. So for this particular case, the significant figure will be 3 if it has been approximated to the nearest 10. What if the same question has been approximated to the nearest 100? So you will write it as the significant figures will be 2. What if the same question has been approximated to the nearest 1000? The significant figure will be 1, right? So it depends on the at the end, it depends on how the numbers are approximated. I'll be giving you a few questions. We'll be doing a few questions for practice. So let's get started. First of all, I want you to figure out the number of significant figures in these questions. How many significant figures are there? The 0 is in between the non-zero numbers, so we will count all of them. We have 5 significant figures, right? If in a question they've asked you to write the significant figures to the nearest 10, it means this 0 at 10's place will be included as significant figure, so we will write it as 3. If we have a question where there are a few numbers before a non-zero decimal, now let's figure it out. These 2 zeros will not be counted as significant figures. This will be counted as significant figures. Since this is in between the non-zero numbers, this will be considered as a significant figures, and by the rules this will also be added as or considered as a significant figure because it is appearing after a non-zero number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 significant figures in this particular question. All right, so this is it. If we'll be studying rounding off and writing it to the nearest significant figures in the next video. So all the best. Allah Hafiz. I hope you've understood it.